Mi repare contro e si ferendo chi poi. One person there. Regina, hello. Sunil, Cosmic One. Mwah. Catch, catch, you gorgeous man. Catch. Gonna be doing a DJ set. No, waiting for my beautiful, glorious kin, Teresa Riviera Lepre. Hello, Kelly, how are you? Are you well? Are you well? Got it, brother. I knew. I bet you needed both hands, didn't you? I believe you did. So, we'll wait for Teresa Lepre La Riviera Serinderisa, my kin, to come along and just some straight talk. We'll see what's going on her side of the woods, i.e. in New York, and get a perspective on thoughts and feelings in this realm and this world that we live in. You are beyond well. That's what I like to hear. Beyond well. Boom. There's nothing like having serenity and certainty and residing in no doubt consciousness, because we deserve that. We're allowed that. Why shouldn't we have that? Why shouldn't we be the grace in our space? Why shouldn't we be the rage that fuels our passion? Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we be residing in no doubt consciousness? Why shouldn't we? We deserve to be, for it is our will and our way after all, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Damn straight. Warm already. Does anyone remember the milk tray advert? I feel like the milk tray advert. Rachel! Voila! How are you? What's up? What's up? Left, right, down, all over the show. We're all groovy. Waiting for Teresa Lepre, La Riviere, to come join me as a guest. Clarity Consciousness. Yo, Kayla. Chuck this to Clarity. Uncle Ra here, Clarity. There you go, you beautiful, precious, divine being. Beautiful baby, beautiful baby. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're all about. This is why we're doing what we're doing. This is what Footsteps for Freedom is all about. For these ones, these beautiful, precious, innocent ones to actually have a future. Tulsi Sana, look at the big spider behind you. Look at the big spider behind you. Where'd that go? See, everyone's commenting now all of a sudden. I am beyond well. All right, see, I've gone too far now. Da da da. Here we go. Here comes the messages. Always seems to happen. Rachel Leonard says, "Oh, you know, same shit, different day, hanging in there." Yeah. Look at the big spider behind you on the wall. Are you just trying to make me look? I don't see nothing, but I'm gonna look. Where? You fucker. See, the power of suggestion. The power of suggestion. Probably does see the powerhouse. She probably does see a big spider on the wall behind me. I love spiders. I used to have a, let's just say, an indifference with the beautiful beings, only because of the matrix of fear that resides in us all, until we confront it and face it. And actually, it was the time on shrooms on a shroom chocolate made by this beautiful shaman. When I was in America living in Eugene, funny enough, you're only supposed to take little bites of chocolate. Took the whole chocolate, and I basically much sat out on a hot summer's Eugene day on the west coast for 8 hours, and we were in the middle of drought at that time, and seeing the fifth dimensional consciousness of nature itself was glorious, but then seeing the third dimensional aspect of it was like heart wrenching. But I stayed at that time I stayed pimped up this little garage, this shed. It was really, really cool. Egyptian like drapes and all that shizzle dizzle hanging everywhere. It was really, really cool, you know. But they had, the daddy long leg spiders. Actually, here's some wisdom for you, whether it be true or not. That's why we question everything. Apparently, daddy long legs, ladies and gentlemen, are actually the most venomous spiders on earth. But because they're so fragile, they can't do shit to us. But as I was tripping out on those babies, you get near them, they start doing that on their web. And you just think, what are they doing? But when you see the geometry and the sacred geometry and the messages and the symbols and the signals and the stuff coming off it, it's like, oh, I get you now. Thank you. Eka Nuikwa, you're seeing the divine gratitude. Apologies for that rambling. I got a little bit excited there. Went back. Wonderful. Also reminded me that day as well. I was actually watching the old chemtrail poos go over. Doesn't exist. It's a fucking conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. Chemtrails is not. It's divine particles, which a lot of people say they're just divine particles that's changed. Is it? Fuck. First, Brian over, and I was actually seeing like skull and crossbones in the chemtrail poo, so to speak. So I'm going into my primal source of a song of my soul. I let them know exactly how I felt. So has anyone seen Teresa River Bear yet? Donna, hello, how are you? Good day. Hello, Sherry, sweetheart, how are you? Rachel says, I had a tarantula named Duke. Dukes of Hazardous. Right, here we go. Teresa Leprez here. I shall bring her on without further ado. So let's see if we get away without doing a green buttony poos, ladies and gentlemen. Teresa, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, uno. Approve. Send. What do you mean approve? I have to send an invitation. Why do I send an invitation? So you had a tarantula called Duke. That's pretty fucking cool, isn't it? Ah, there you are, Teresa. That's sent request. It's saying add any poos and holy fucking moly. What's the chances of that? Straight away, boom. And look at you. Don't you look magnificent, my kin? Glowing. Glowing.
Hello, how are you?
Ah,
Thank you. Let me adjust. I'm afraid to touch my camera because every time I touch my camera, like we get bounced out. But we're actually not bounced out today. This is perfect.
I know. Maybe because
Can you
we
see
like,
me?
I can see you perfectly. Maybe, and we like the same height. It's like we're in the same room. It's like I put my hand through there, mess your hair up, and it looks.
Awesome.
Did you get that on an ironing board? Did you?
Awesome. I did. How do they do it? I love when they do that boom, boom, boom thing. Did you ever see that on Instagram? They sing that song and it's in Arabic and they get very like into it and everybody's going like that, but they do it where there's like friction. So it's, and as they
Oh,
use their shoulders, you hear the drum going boom, boom, boom. It's awesome, you know.
I do love
That's
that kind of stuff. It's the same with the old the Bollywood stuff. Not that I like the films and all that, and after like 5 minutes, I'm like, fuck off, I'm done with this.
The music,
But
the music.
it's
The
oh,
music
it's
is
amazing,
fiery.
and it's the same with
Yes.
mosques and all that, Risa, isn't it? When I was in Dubai, because my brother lives there, for some of you that don't know, but when you got there's this big golden mosque out there. It doesn't matter what they're saying, but when you listen, you feel it. There is definitely something beautiful and
Draws you.
divine in it, I
They
find. Oh,
emphasize.
absolutely.
Yes. Did you ever visit a mosque in Dubai?
We
Are you
we
allowed? Is it a
no, I don't believe we are allowed, but in the main center near the harbour bit with the river that goes through the big like Blade Runner building, there's this big golden one there, and it's one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen. And so I was basically like 100 foot away from it, standing on this bridge, and wow, it was just like,
I hear Dubai is beautiful. I hear that the immediate city is very beautiful. I'm not talking about how they run things or anything like that, but I hear the city in itself is quite breathtaking.
it's most certainly an experience. And the only analogy I can say is what I just said, like Blade Runner, when that's lit up at night and you've got all the strobes going up and down and all this drama, it's absolutely phenomenal. That it's a lot to take in, and no LSD required, and you do get treated like kings and queens out there, but without going further into it, why they're like that, you know, it is what it is, you know. But I personally, I wouldn't, I could not
I would say
live
that
there.
has
I
to
could not
do with
live
the
there.
Anunnaki.
Yes.
I actually would think that would have to do with the Anunnaki analogy. I think that if someone has a sharp eye and they look how the foundation has been birthed and they compare the 70s to now, the city in itself is high tech. The current prince is very much into technology, and it's almost, I want to say, like a modern day Atlantis or
Huh.
Lemuria. If you look at certain structures, you could connect the dots. So that's very interesting to see how that's going to develop over the next few years because it is booming. It's booming.
I think, what is it, what, 20 years or something? It's just in that short span they've created all that, and there's no accident when you see the layout and all that. I'd like to be able to like float up above it and see the geometry structure of itself, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say not Lemuria personally, because Lemuria would be more like pagan and druidy and living off the land. But
Okay.
Atlantis got that vibe 100% like Atlantis and all that,
Okay, because you've been
without a
there,
doubt.
you would
And the
have felt
technology.
it.
Yeah, I've been there a few times now, and I've experienced 5G for the first time out there in one of their big yucky malls and all that, big super malls. They make the malls look in America or over here in Englandy poos like look like little sheds, you know. But as soon as I walked in there, you could feel it, and it's not nice at all. I felt dizzy, I felt nauseous. It's like no, 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 no. But if you
Yeah.
got to remember, it's like
They
if you're
need a big
built into
structure.
that technology, you're not going to notice it. You see, so a lot of our children, beautiful people that are growing into this technical transhumanism age, they're like accustomed to it and not noticing that the chemical changes. This is why people of our generation, my kid, are pretty much like more of like the lighthouses, just to point these things out, even though we'd be looked at and said, "Fuck off! What are you all about? I don't feel that." But it's not about us at the end of the day because we've had our script and we still are scripting in our script and scratching it in stone, so to speak. But it's about the children. It's about the innocent before, but that are coming behind us. So, what's your thoughts in this play right now, my kin, and what's going on where you are in New York and all that with the innocents and children and whatever? Where I'll leave it over to you, whatever you want to say.
I would
Raw
first
as you
like to
like,
say
raw
thank
as you
you for
like.
obliging me today. Thank you for obliging me today because I reached out to you to come on with me as well. And one of the reasons why I did that is because, as we were discussing before, there's these higher level of conscious messages that I am receiving. Now, I only say it in this terminology because I'm a firm believer that if you connect with any type of consciousness, you should be able, if you are speaking on behalf of the people, to articulate what that consciousness is communicating to you. Now, I see a lot of people out there and they're communicating with consciousness that is a lie. And I'm going to speak of something that you and I touched upon before. That is, we could really like people, but sometimes we make excuses for them because we know that they're not bad people, and they're coming onto this journey wholeheartedly in the beginning, but something happens where they divert. Whether they start to realize that they can make money from this journey, whether they start to have unrealistic thought patterns from the tablets of wisdom, because I believe there is a tablets of wisdom. And how does this communication that I receive just spill out? I don't like to go into all that because to me that feels like you're selling something, you know, and that's why
100%.
I always keep my communication matter of factly. But in my dwellings of interplanetary wisdom, my communication is clear. And if you're on any type of a council, whether that is galactic in your own mind's eye, or if you are actually interchanging with that on this Earth planet, your answer from the Galactic Council, so to speak, is that if you don't have clear interpretation and all you are saying with what is going on in this planet, that we are guiding you and we are taking you to other dimensions and you are on that council, but you can't come back and tell us how it affects us and help us in changing humanity around, I will say that through the wisdom, you're lying. And for a long time, we're sitting on the fence with these things. And, you know, how do you articulate this and simplify what is happening? So the call to humanity is simply this. There's a vast amount of children that are missing. And when children are missing and they are unaccountable and you are witnessing this fall, because you are also in family communities, you should be asking, where are these children going and what's really happening here and who runs things? There's nothing not spiritual about it because we're pretty much on the same page with this. And what happens is because we are tagline that we are one, we get confused about we are one. I'm sorry, guys. I am not with people who deliberately hurt other people. There is a difference between evil. And there is a difference between transformation. And what's going on in this planet as a global citizen, in your spirituality, you should be able to speak about it, because nobody wants to get involved in world affairs because they think that if they do, it takes away from their spirituality. But why do they succeed and we who are so brilliant don't? Because we are in competition with one another. We don't want to see the true facts and we lie to one another. So therefore, having a conversation is always putting somebody on the spot, because what happens is that you can't separate the two. It has nothing to do what you do in sacred ceremony, because we all practice sacred ceremony, we all meditate. But after a while of transformation, and if you are going back to the beginning of time, you will have to understand the human origins. And in the beginning of time, a slave-like mentality was induced on our kind, whether we're hominids from a species that were to develop more slowly. You know, it is clear that 200,000 years ago, human beings had this surge in developing civilizations, and that's where kings and queens and religion derived from. So my take is that on the children and human trafficking and doing acts that pit humanity against one another, instead of saying we are one and all is, why can't we say we are not one? We hold a consciousness that is higher than the normal person that participates in this idiotic scheme that is being played out. And why can't we come to solutions while we still pay homage to Mother Earth? Because we rely on Mother Earth, right? And we rely on these things that keep us connected to a universal principle. But we're not allowed to do that because we ourselves have victimized spirituality. We have victimized ourselves, and we are in the blame game. So for all of you that don't want to hear what happens to the children, I think it's high time you sit down, because I know that some of you will be triggered because you suffered your own trauma, and I understand that. But I think you sit down now and you brace yourself and you come to another part of your healing and understanding the heart space and knowing what really happens to these children. Various things happen to the children. Some children are being molded into a new society that will be the protectors and the military, so to speak, for this deranged governmental splash that is going on worldwide. Other children will be sold into domestic help. Still other children will be killed because their body parts will be needed for science. Still other children will be raped viciously and their blood would be drank. Their blood will be
Drunk.
drunk. Well, they will drink the
We
blood of
understand.
these children to get a euphoria that not only is an addiction, but they believe in this type of immortality. Still others will be raped and killed by their own family. And why does this happen? Because we allow it to happen because we don't want to believe it exists. But if we are the intelligent beings and we go back to origin, it's been existent from the beginning of time, but now it's out of control to the point where they can no longer sustain. So you're deluged upon you. And if you believe in biblical events or Gnostic events or events that come from all sources, from all cultures, you will see a common theme. If you believe that you are loved, you will have a flutter in your heart as I speak these things, and you will understand that our kind is being wiped out. We are no use to them. So they're doing this new thing now. So if you notice, and no disrespect to my brothers and sisters that are of African descent, only thing that differentiates between us is the color of our skin. But I'm a slave just like you. And if you think you're not a slave, then I will think again, because now what is happening is that they're giving this victorious glory for people of certain colors and cultures. And when I say African American, I'm gonna put it across the board now, whatever your cultural background is, because I want you to think and ponder something, because your hate is so intense in your heart that someone needs to break it down very simply. So when these things happen, it's always given a rise to people that someone notices us and we're taking control because we were hurt from generational abuses. But the truth of the matter is you'll always be a slave if you don't stand up and get over anything that causes a barrier, because the 0.25% who pulls all strings, including your emotional strings, will never let you lead the way you should, because you are still a monkey in a cage, each and every one of us. Why they fear people like us is because we just frankly don't care anymore. We're living our lives. We are raising the issue. We are fighting for freedom. And we are one word that if we pass it amongst three, it will give them the motivation to continue on. So I personally feel through my own transformation that sitting on the fence is not an issue no more. Because if you can't see there's a global demise going on, you will not be able to rise above. So spiritual healers and gurus out there, I will tell you something. There's some amazing people, but some of you are horrible. The way you act, the way you deceive people, the way you sit on the fence, the way you lie and scheme to take advantage of people's monetary situations. And the people who are so giving, you too are responsible, because after continuously getting kicked up your arse, you continuously fall victim. So we have to make some decisions here, and some of them are not popular. And we have to speak openly, honestly. So I have a color of memes on my wall, and they are significant to this day and age. Because quite frankly, if you care about what everybody thinks about you when you are on a journey to better yourself, then you are not honoring what happened to you and why you are changing. If you are interacting with any media source, media means that mediation source, I'm sorry, I want to use the word mediation, that connects you to the high consciousness, you better come back to the reality and understand how you use that word Anubis so sparingly out of your mouth that you are going to conquer that entity. Do you know who Anubis is? Because Anubis lives in you too, because you would have to understand this darkness. So my message today was, to ask Maru to support me, because these are issues that are happening that affect your spirituality and your love. If you don't take things into consideration, and if you continue sitting on the fence, what will happen is that that love that you want to induce in your heart, it's not going to be enough to change the world. Our people are dying on a very vast space and time. And there's many people who turn a cheek and who are on a spiritual journey who are hustlers and bustlers, much like the day of old. We don't have that kind of time, guys. And if you are really changing and you understand what one is, you would be standing up for a oneness that allows humanity to live in peace and harmony. And you will go up to your brothers and sisters that are doing harm and say, let's have a discussion, because you can articulate this. I'm very clear of what I have to do. I'm very clear that I have to cover along the way, ground by myself, with people turning their back. But it's the very same people that turn their back that come and apologize because they now understand the abyss. I'm very clear that to do this means that my people are the people that I am discussing, but my target is to look the current systemal governmental bodies in their face and ask the questions. You see, because you can't be on a council that they most certainly understand how the entities work and say you travel to the 5th and 6th and 7th dimension. And when someone asks you, well, what do you do in that dimension? And you come back and say, we are here watching. That's a lie. Because when I took the mission on to do this part of it now, I went through all kind of phases. And I know that the media won't let us in. I know that along the way, true forgiveness takes a lot of work. I know that when a council comes to me and tells me, are you up for this because this is what you are going to face? I know I have to make that decision. But I also know when they ask me, well, how do you know this? Well, I could turn around and say, by the council that implored humanity to grow, we are under a universal law, and they don't have the right without us making a choice. And that doesn't mean that I don't have love, guys. I have a love, but I don't participate in hurting anybody. If I have to hurt somebody, that means I have to go for the target and the gusto, and that's in extreme cases. So don't tell me that you love somebody and you hurt them. You play shade. You sit on the fence because you don't want to raise the issue because you like that person. We get that. We've all been there. There's no more time to sit on the fence. Those babies are suffering. And yes, we are responsible because we allow it to happen. I think that's it.
Wow. Talk about pretty much cover every aspect of the geometry of that one, and pondering and listen to that, and I adore you, Risa. We're kin and we go way back before even this realm, and I always have seen you. I will always support you, and my breath is your breath, and I will give it to the last if needed. But that ain't gonna happen. We know that we stand in the same unity of divine righteousness of doing what needs to be done, and we're exactly like this place, ladies and gentlemen. It's like, we have so many out there that see the dog doing a shit, excuse my French, like that, but they complain about the dog doing the shit. It's like, well, how about the person that's allowing the dog to do the shit, or where this comes from, actually to address where this is coming from without the fear of how or retaliation might come back into play towards. It's like this false theology of this need of acceptance, to be accepted by a fellow man. It's like, I don't want to upset the apple cart, so to speak. Fuck the apple cart, tip that apple cart over. And it's like this, what I keep seeing a lot. It's like we don't see things, the way they are. We see the things the way we are. What a complete utter pile of fucking bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it as it is. So So exactly what Reese is talking about, exactly what we've both experienced in life. So with abuse and child abuse and all this stuff going on, I'm walking down the street, there's a lady being beaten or lady being raped. Oh my God, this is only happening because it's me. I'm creating this reality in front of me. That doesn't get much more passive and denial and ignorant than that. And as far as I'm concerned, that is one of the major parts of the problem than the problem of the distorted ones that are causing it in the first place. You know, this passive denial and lethargicness of actually, like, I'm just sitting back. I've been told to do that. Who told you? Who told you this? What you guys and all that? No disrespect to none of that, but I've always say this and I will always say this. What say you? What say you? The person right in front of me in flesh form, in glorious flesh form, and that, and own it, rather than so many of us try and disguise the fact that we are in this beautiful flesh suit, you know, for a reason. It is our anchor on this beautiful realm that we reside on, you know. But it's like, you know, it's easy to play ignorant when we're up in level 744, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, you know, I have a different purpose. Well, I'm not sure about you, but who's going to sort this third dimensional shit out? As far as I'm concerned, if everyone wants to ascend and go into Cloud Cuckoo Lovely Land and all that, as long as this distortion and this shit and this monstrous actions and the suffering and the monstrosities, the malevolent forms that are doing this to our innocent children, I'm getting myself emotional again now. I ain't going nowhere. I choose to stay here to the very, very end, you know, and if I have to come back and do it, so be it, so be it. So I say, people, I say, ladies and gentlemen, what say you? What say you? Why are you here? What is your story? Is there going to be glory in your story? Are you just going to look the other way? Are you just going to allow your brothers and sisters to take up arms and fight this mighty battle for you while you stand in the shadows, whimpering and cowering? You know, what say you? That's what I say. What say you?
I think that that's a big issue that we find because people really don't know how to organize, even though they say that they do. And there's a lot of ignoramus people out there that are throwing things around. And you could see it, like, I'll use these like examples, okay? And they're only examples and they're not directed at any particular, what's a good one that people of all religious backgrounds could assimilate with? Cultural backgrounds, I'm sorry. Okay, veganism, okay? Some people eat vegan and they're very happy with it. Some people eat meat and they're very happy with it. They never come to the middle unless there's an extreme circumstances. Now I see a lot of vegan people who now are going back to eating meat instead of just saying, you know, it's a personal choice and that's not, you know, because your heart space is your heart space, you know. And if how you take care of your body, whether you're eating meat or plant-based ingredients, if you're doing things in the simulation of your body, there's a healthy way of doing it, right?
Boom, boom.
Right. But what happens is now people who are vegan going back to eating meat, they're giving you this whole spiritual thing why it happened, because those are the very same people that spiritually induced why they were vegans. You see the same people who are carnivores doing the same thing if the roles were reversed. So I say that's a lie, because
Just
if
distorted
you
righteousness,
use
distorted
something to
righteousness.
entice people and people are following you and they see you're a yo-yo, why do you have to bring everything that we do into spirituality, into being a better person, and then confusing the message? See, that's false information right there. It doesn't say anything in any scroll of you not eating meat. They do tell you how to clean and kosher your meat. They do tell you what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, because what happens is when you branched out in civilization and the climate change, there were certain things that were available. So of course, if you went through the beginning of time and you migrated through the Middle East, your diet would be more of olives, fish, figs, things like that, right? So they would be more conducive to the earth. If you lived, let's say, in a place that was very Celtic and cold, you would have to go with the things that are available. So what did the Alaskans do? Even if they hunted buffalo, or if they hunted, I think it was whale that they were, a whole whale survived the whole village, but every part of that dough was used. Now, if you go back and
Absolutely.
you really want to go back to the earth, we're a recycling planet, so we recycle because we don't live forever right at this particular moment. Yes, our lifespan is much shorter than it should be. However, we have to be in sync with how this earth moves. So there is things that are happening here that have no logic. And I use that for an example because this is how people play it out. They play it out in religion. They play it out in spirituality. They play it out in friendship. Why don't you just cut to the chase? I don't like certain things. That doesn't mean because I don't like certain things that I will obsess about it and turn it into something that takes my life over. I also tell some of the people that I know, we've become so informational based that you have to stop now. You know, you keep looking for answers. Why the vaccine did this? Why the government did this? Why, you know, this is going to happen? Who's going to save us? And why can't you just bring it down to 0 point? Obviously,
Boom.
if you would have your right mind, you would say that there's a plan going on. Figure that out for yourself. You could see that the vaccines now, after you've been duped, you have to continuously get them. People are still getting sick and dying. People are fear-based. Those who didn't get sick from the beginning are now more afraid than ever. And we have a mandate in New York, starting tomorrow, from what I understand, that we have to wear the mask or with all that stuff, or you have to do this and that. And I'm like in a fog wondering, why am I getting all these dirty looks? Because I was like, hey, Jeff, you know, I did some shopping and I was getting a lot of dirty looks. He was like, oh, you don't, Therese, this is what's happening. So they're probably panicked. I was like, really? I says, again, I says, people don't think that, well, I've done all this to promote my own health and I'm okay, and now I still have to live in fear? Or you don't care that your children, listen, what people do in their lifestyle when they're adults is their business. And I do have a problem when they are teaching 5 and 6-year-old about pedophilia and sex between a 45-year-old man or a man of, you know, maturity and 6-year-olds in the school. I have a problem with that because you're introducing things that you are perpetuating on humanity. And again, it's all induced from the children. Hello, guys, you know, look, we all have traumas, but, you know, after 50, 60 years or 30, 40 years of trauma and you want to change and you're spiritual, don't you stand up a little bit? But no, you sit on the fence because we're all one and this is supposed to take place. Then you don't know your origins. I'm sorry. And you don't know the council, and you don't know Anubis, and you don't know what you're up against. And, you know, I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'm just saying that you're totally uninformed. And even the love in your heart causes you to trip because now you have to sustain your life. The same thing with people that are, you know, going off the grid and they are, you know, they're supporting their own small businesses. Fine, guys, I don't have a problem with that. But don't say that you're off the grid and loving life. You still have to support your business. That means you still have to advertise. You still have to get customers. And yes, I'm an artisan. I will support my people. But let's not get it confused that it's off the grid and that you don't have to get up every day and do the same things we all do, like brush your teeth, you know, go to the bathroom, make sure you're tidy, make sure you eat. People can't do that for you. You have to do that. So why are we saying that there is no exchange? You know, in times of past, there was a reason why he was or she was called the candlestick maker or the hairdresser or the shoe repair, because people bartered and exchanged. That was
Yeah.
part of life. Now everything is commercialized. So why do we think on this planet it's still not a working planet? We still have to sustain, but yet we still victimize. I'm not for that. It won't work, guys, like that. But if you do something in harmony and you actually do have love in your heart and you understand that there's going to be challenges and things are going to happen, perhaps you'll get somewhere. This is my mission, to break it down very simply. I can't break it down more simple than that, but I will be direct about it, and I'm learning along the way. I learned a lot about love, a lot about forgiveness, about letting go, about my own demons inside that were fear, full of, understanding that once the Kraken is unleashed, that my people are going to die. That's very, like, you see these visions and you say, oh my God, am I hallucinating? Look at what's happening worldwide, and you're not. I heard that they want to release Julian, what is his name? He's held captive. He's held in the UK courts. Julian Assange. Is that his
Right, yeah.
name?
I believe so. I believe so.
Are they releasing him? Okay. And I
Fuck
heard
those.
that, what are they now forcing? What are they for? Well, he's the guy who has the goods on the whole pedophile ring and what's really happening. And they didn't, when Trump was in office,
Well,
they
we've
did
got
not
this.
want to
We've
release
got
him
what's
from
going on
jail.
over here. We got what's going on over here is
Mhm.
like, because last year that they were caught out, the powers that be that tell everyone, give dictation and foreship of rule to be governed by, and they're not doing it themselves, but they're being caught out now. So
Mhm.
even the mainstream media are like, they're not stupid. They're seeing that there is a war going on and we are becoming more victorious. It may not be seen in that, ladies and gentlemen, but
Mhm.
it is. So they're like, they don't want to go down with the sinking ship, but trust
Mm.
me, any of them what were watching, we're coming for you anyway. You're all going down. You've all took part of this. You think you just go, oh, sorry, didn't realize. No, that ain't going to work like that. So what they're doing, they're using the scapegoats of their own MPs and parliaments that
Like they're
they've
doing here. There's a lot of scapegoats going down.
they've shared footage with this one particular that she was like giggling and sniggering about them having a Christmas party when everyone over here was in lockdown, when people were losing their family members, dying, that they couldn't go and see them, and leaving Christmas presents on their fucking footpath for them, so they couldn't get. So these people uprage about it, but this is just another form of diversion separation. So they're using this woman as an scapegoat. She comes out putting on crocodile tears, being fake, but her life's been threatened without doubt, because she knows what she sees, she knows what they're all involved, but she's not. She won't speak up to her about it. Otherwise,
They threaten their
you're gonna go missing.
families. Yes, they
But
threaten.
it's coming out. But what they're going to do, they're now in talk about throwing the Prime Minister Boris Johnson out. You know, get rid of him and replace him with what? It's like this. No matter how many rats you take out the sewer is going to remain the sewer, full of
Exactly.
shit.
And
Full stop.
that's
Full
his.
stop. So don't be fooled, people. Don't be fooled.
So this is what I want to say to the people out there, that, how we get our information. So if I was to directly tell you that, when you observe what's happening in governments and you see these four people, and people most likely will fall into this trap. Oh, things are being exposed now, we have a victory. Absolutely you don't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because these people that are in government, if I take you back to our original origins and the sign of the snake, that's very prevalent. The sign of the snake derived from the original ancestors that blended the foundation of all religions. When civilization was being built and they dispersed kings and queens, those kings and queens for a very long time were able to hide, but we're on a mass level of destruction, and it's been already decided that a deluge is upon us. Now, it was coming slow, and that's when you witnessed AIDS and Ebola and et cetera, so on, and how it went. They tested it on those people that lived in rural areas like in Africa or out of the range places, especially in the Middle East. What people don't know is that Yemen suffered a lot. I mean, before COVID even hit on a worldwide blend, if you have any interpersonal skills and you know people that live in the States or your area, they'll tell you that, 2 years, the Saudis have been implemented this to whoever backs them, and people have been in like flies. So this deluge has been tested for a while. Now, what's the deluge? Compare it to the flood, which has a story in every culture, right? If you understand and if you get the true information, it's like prepare yourself, Risa, because this is not a joke. Because now what happens is the kings and queens and the puppeteers and the media that have been spoiled, so to speak, right? They now are taking the brunt of it because civilization has to crumble. As they take a brunt of it, everybody is still distracted. We're rising up, we're gaining. No, you're not. Because now the ones behind that, the ones really pulling the string, the 1/4% that don't care if you're black, white, or anything in between because you are a slave to them.
Absolutely.
And yes, you are a slave to them. And yes, we have slave-induced mentalities, and it's very hard to break. They're allowing the puppeteers to fall. And while they allow the puppeteers to fall, we are giving up our sovereign right and we are embedded to them again. You can get out of it because they fear that if you know the truth, you will. But we don't demand because we don't have the media coverage, but that's got to change somehow. And it is our sovereign and universal right to challenge Anubis and say, as you challenged us and you put your plan as now we are here, we must speak. But people can't do that because they don't know what they're playing with in the realms, right? And they're playing with anything other than the truth in most cases. And I only speak of people that are deliberately doing this. People who don't deliberately do this, they wouldn't even take what
Absolutely.
I'm saying to heart. They would say, Risa's right. This has to be said because we as elders and we who've come here, we can say this. And I am exercising my sovereignty because I'm the real deal.
Boom. Damn straight.
Period. And I'm so tired of people telling me that they're the real deal and they'll turn a dime on you instantaneously. So you just are seeing the pit of the iceberg. The kids, the blood, all that stuff, they're the workers. Now, I know we believe in a lot of different entities, and I'm not even going to get into that. I always parallel it to the Anunnaki because the Anunnaki are the ones that instilled the wisdom, and they are the original snake people and the mermaid people and blah, 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 and how it goes that induced mankind. So my people, do you want to be induced any longer? How do you want to lead? How do you want to stand up? That becomes on you. Look, I told you guys on the last video I did with Maru, and he could attest to it as human to human. I could not get past those Potesta tapes. Maru, you know that. I shared them with you. I could not get past those tapes. You are a strong man, and you even cringed. This is no joke. This is no joke.
Because it's like this. This is what a lot of people don't realise. It's like, see, I feel it now. When you come across the purest, malevolent evil there is, and it really does exist, and they're not human. They're not human, and the fact that they're residing in fleshable form, and you'll find that they don't look strong and powerful. They're these frail little fucking things, but there's something inside them. It's just like smirking and laughing, and it's in the frequency. It's in the state of distorted consciousness that you feel it and you know their intent. And when you know what they're doing to that child deliberately, and they're not. This is about this. The thing with torture, ladies and gentlemen, it's not quick. It's not sudden. It's lasting and lasting and lasting. And it's prolonged to the most highest level of fear for them to feed off and food. And then they bring in the falsity, the false light of comfort, that you're important, that you're special. You know, and I know this particularly well. You know, you're special, you're loved, you're the only one, you're important. To give them reassurance, so that calmness comes down and they go into a state of sort of like forgiveness and like
Submissiveness.
open arms
Yes.
again, and then boom,
Hmm.
the beast attacks all over again. This is the reality of the world we live in. This is the
It
reality why we
happens.
most certainly are not all one. This is the reality that we will address over and over again. And the reason we do is because we really care. The reason we do is because we are that of love. The reason we do because we are true righteousness warriors that want the most benevolent outcome for absolutely everyone. You know, everyone apart from those that have caused what they've caused, because they're not human, they cannot be treated as human, and they do not have that which is divine in us resided inside them. That I can attest and say 100% with certainty, with
Sure.
no doubt consciousness, it is exactly what it
And
is.
this happens on every level, people. It does not only happen in governments or entertainment or elites, it happens in everyday life. There's a wave going on, and now the technology has become a babysitting device for most parents, because instead of talking to your kids, go play the game because you don't want to be bothered, because you're frustrated yourself because you live in a society that you can't even be a normal parent because things are so out of control and so expensive that you're burnt out. So you might make $150,000 a year, but in comparison, you're still tight because you're slaving, or you have to use your mind to the point where you're burnt out. And now there is no way out because you're doing all this for your children to give them a slightly better life, and there is no more family unit. The family unit is on us, guys. We have to do our due diligence to ensure that our traditions from the beginning of time, what we were intended to do on this earth, do in our most organic self, does not diminish. But nobody does it. We talk a good game. We talk this, we talk that, we use this, we use that. This is not the way it is. It's very hard stuff to do. But you are very humble and you are very kind. And I don't want to hear it no more. I'm so tired of hearing people picking and choosing. You know nothing. You don't know the individual. You see, because most people come in here on here and they air their life. You don't think that other people come on here because this is their life's work and they're trying to at least reach one person, and they do it, but they can't do it in a way where they're coddling everybody, because real life issues are happening and they're living their lives too. So all the media people, all the governments, even if they're good ones, everybody's getting paid, guys. Everybody's getting paid somewhere. So therefore you become in compromise. But the person who can sustain themselves without having to depend on the crowd to uplift them is the one that is the most influential, because they don't care. They're going to say it. They're going to do it. They already know that they are dead if they don't, and whatever time they have on this planet, they want to exercise their birthright to enjoy something and to see harmony within the children so they can lay to rest, because those children will be your leaders. You're still looking for leaders. Why? Why can't
Do
you
you know
lead
what?
yourself?
Do you know what? I love what you said, and you triggered a pondering. You triggered a pondering in me that we go by a numbers game. You know, the herd mentality of humans and the herd mentality of the spiritual circles and all that. They go by a numbers game like this, and it's like this. If there are like millions and millions and millions, they can all share or follow or quote these same proverbs and quotes, and they, some of them sound really delicious, really insightful, and would make the world most certainly a better place. But it's like this, ladies and gentlemen. If all those millions of people believing in these quotes, believing in these proverbs, actually were boots on ground, living it, well, guess what? Job done. We wouldn't be in this scenario. So it just goes to show that there's a lot of singers, and not a lot of dancers out there. How do we change this? What's going on? By not acquiescing, by not being subservient to tyrannical bullshit, distorted rule. That's a start. I have not all the answers. Surinder not has all the answers, but the only answer I can say, certainty that I will live my truth no matter what. No one is going to force any false, concentrate, or plastic rule upon my life. Full stop. That's the best I can do. And if everyone, all of us,
Yeah.
took some format of that, of like, do you know what? I'm taking my will back. I say no. I do not consent. You know, it starts, then you realize that, oh my word, we do have power. And the more we bring this into receptivity and we practice it over and over again, it becomes natural, like our organic breath, like exhaling and inhaling. We breathe it and we breathe it and we become it. We become it. We become it. And our song
We
becomes our
are it.
chorus.
Absolutely.
Yes, we
We are.
are it, you know, and then we start seeing more people around us, like, you know, especially when fear beckons our shores, because it does and it always will, you know. That's why we're fearless, less of fear, not totally fearless, because that's going to be ignorant, you know. We need to have some ignition of fear in us to keep us aware, to keep us conscious, to keep us on guard, you know, to keep the warrior's shield held up high, you know, to keep the sword tempered, so to speak. It's very wise to live that well, you know. But the more we see people around us that are actually doing it, and standing up and saying they're taking off their muzzles of obedience, just for starters, just a simple thing, a run of the ladder at the time, but a true, firm, steadfast run of that ladder, not rushing up all the runs because everyone wants all the solutions, don't they? What about this though? How do we do this? Because it's like, well, you tell me how to do this. We're not claiming we know all the answers, but we're claiming that we're going to
Let's
be one
work
of
it
the answers,
together.
maybe. Yes, yes,
You know,
yes. Because
that's
the snakes are waiting at the ladders, so let's not rush up them. But one run, steadfast, strong, full grip,
you
full feet
know
on there, up the time.
I am astounded about the of I'm astounded at the amount of ignorance that we faced on all levels. And then people are like, well, we're one. How could you say that? Come on, guys. I can
Oh,
say it because the truth, after a certain amount of time. So for the people who have woke up about 2012 who had this surge. There are many of us who were born with this, but as we were going through our hellish experiences, we were uncovering the layers and we got to understand more and more. And we also fell into that certain pit hole because we wanted to change the world, and then we realized there was more tests and more tests. Do we
yeah.
continue? The thing of the matter is that now everybody is a shaman. No, everybody cannot be a shaman. I'm sorry to say, you cannot be a shaman without understanding the botany and understanding there's a study. Everybody wants to be an alchemist. You are starting to be an alchemist. You are learning. You are an apprentice. I support you. You
Spot
all
on,
have to
spot
put
on.
disclaimers into your products because if you don't, people will sue you. Is that something to be like snare upon? No, because when I had the makeup involvement, we had to put disclaimers there too. That's just the way it is, right? So my point of this is that we are in a world where what are we doing here? We are still faced with trial and error, but we are changing things because now we're learning about the organic aspects of it. So yes, we do learn and we do grow and we do exude our talents, but don't tell me overnight you became A, B, and C. You're a liar. You did not become A, B, and C unless something struck you so forcefully that you would be able to go to every code that there is and dismantle it and still hold your collective cool, right? So these are the things that, yes, we look for because we know that it's just not given. So you have people that are experimented with all kinds of hallucinogenics. When hallucinogenics become the norm, it's no longer an experience to inquire. It is another form of addiction. When you're up on this
Mm.
podium and you're constantly soliciting and doing drugs and berating, and you have all those followers, and my brothers and sisters think by getting on their good side that they know something. I personally think you're off the beam whacker. There's a difference between recovery and talent than abusing that talent, and you're not in recovery and you're bringing a slew of demons on you, because that's what happens. And you then are demonizing other people. So yeah, we can talk about this, because we're not saying, okay, maybe the brother or sister has a problem. We've been there in certain areas. Let's see, because there is recovery, but don't use this
Yes.
to trick people. I don't like that. This is what I talk about, sitting on the fence. And then you're smearing their name and you're cursing people out. Half the people that cursed other people out, me included, like some of them, badasses, they would never do that to my face to face, because there'll be an army of people that are behind me that'll knock their fucking asses out. And this is the reality of life, right? Because how dare you say you're spiritual and, berate people? There's between bringing up a situation that happened and berating people. There's a difference between having a disagreement and cursing people. There's a difference of, not agreeing with somebody and then trolling somebody. There's forgiveness, and then there's people who can never forgive because it was a lie all along. And then there's others who hurt you, including myself, that although you have to break ties with them, you still have a soft spot, because you know that they're genuinely inflicted by something that wounds their soul, but you can no longer take part of that. So what am I saying that's so wrong? And why am I have to defend what we do? Why do I do it? Because I'm gifted to do that, because I've learned the lesson. And what I don't know in between, I'll never say I'll know it. I'll say that's out of territory. But what I do know, I'll share it, because this is a basic and it's foolproof every time. Hello?
And you know what?
You know what I mean?
This is why I respect and love and adore you so much, my kid, is because it's easy to tippy tappy words and write these glorious stories in these glorious scripts. Go back, start again, edit. Go back, start again, edit. Go back, start again, edit. Come across all powerful, all knowing. Where are you? I see not their faces. I see now not sharing this without no script, with their authenticity, for us all to see. Faults, failures, wonders, faculties and flaws and all, as we all are. We're far from perfect, but we don't rehearse it. We are being that which we truly are, and yet to become, who knows, but we're trying to do our best to actually become something. And it's like this, ladies and gentlemen, there is no divine, there is no reaping and a harvest until we realize and go back to the seed. And all seeds come and grown from darkness. When we go into the bits of the shadows where everything is spawned from, everyone, we're just waiting to pick and pluck the fruit from the tree that's already grown. But what about the suffering that made it come into this beautiful place in the first place? If we all learn to endure where it all comes from, then everything will be as it should be. And then maybe we can guise ourselves in the uniform that we truly are all one. Maybe.
It's been real kicking it with you. I'm
I
so
adore
happy
it.
you kicked it with me today. I adore you.
When you call out, when you
I
reach
have
to
to
me,
say, you look
it's like
very.
we always do it. We always do it. Lady Gemma, it's like that. She like reach a bit like she like this. She goes, "Hey, I've got something I want to talk about," and it's like enough said. We're there. We connect because it's always
I have to
something
tell you
that needs
before.
to be shared raw. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
I love the black on you today with that piece that you're wearing. Black is a very nice color for you, because you're always very very bright or very like bold, but this is subdued for you, and it's very nice. You look good.
I feel like a secret agent man, like yeah, exactly that. Do you remember? I don't know if you had it there, the man from Milk, the Milk Tray advert. There used to be an advert, Milk Tray. This bloke, it'll be a black balaclava, and he would go down, have cells or parachute, and he would deliver the chocolate to the people on boats and things like this. It's like that. It's like, shh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really a ninja. Shh, I forgot to take the outfit off. I just climbed in from the chimney poos.
Thank you, Mike Ken. Mike Ken, I'm going to leave you with the audience right now. I must
Absolutely,
do a few
thank you.
things that be taken care of. Thank you from my heart. Guys, thank you. Thank you for listening. This is just
Not a love
another
up for
part
her,
of
ladies and gentlemen.
evolution, and it must be said. Rock out. Peace out.
At any calm, eternal bow. Right, so you beautiful ladies and gentlemen, so that's it. The real deal. She's the authentic warrioress, and I absolutely adore and love that about her. We've known each other for a long, long, long time, and we've seen each other on all levels of wonder, joy, ecstaticism, and very much in the deepest bits and abysses of sorrow and fear and shame and egotic tense as well, ladies and gentlemen. You know, so please feel free to share out if it resonates to do so. No expectations, no wants, no needs. And to each and every one of you watching, the I that is you, the you that is I love you. I do. Each and every one of you, I love you. I do. Because love is primal. It's everything. It's all it is. Qui aime soi. Ecco qua, you're seen in divine gratitude. Tatenicom, the eternal bow. Uluza, forever eternally. And for whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, have a wonderful day. And remember, there is no fence no more. And each and every one of you is worthy of so, so much more. So, so much more. Never let anyone doubt you. Never let anyone silence your story, your song, your voice. Never let anyone trip you from that which you see as your true purpose and the truth that you wish to express and be. Each and every one of you will and shall be and is right now the glory in your story. Mwah. Thank you.